the Flower Files, our wildly native podcast. Today we have a very special guest, and we're going to talk all things about flowers and the industry and how it works. We have beautiful Miss Coleen with us, but I'm going to have her talk about her bio and introduce herself because I'm afraid that I would miss something. So we are all here. It is Mom, Amber, me, Coleen. Coleen, take it away.
No pressure.
Okay, well, my bio actually is very diverse, like you said, and I ended up unintentionally in this industry. So, and I found that quite a few of my colleagues and people that I've known, like designers that have been doing this, have their own companies for many years in the event industry, um, kind of stumbled upon this as like almost their calling per se. Um, So it's kind of like the story with 27 dresses, except mine was 13 weddings. 13 weddings in 2.5 years. And I was a bridesmaid in 12 of 13 weddings. And I was like a reader slash attendant in another one. And just before this whole wedding season kind of started for me in my mid 20s, um, I did a baby shower for my cousin who happened to have a wholesale account that was near my home, and I helped do the shower flowers. And then each wedding, it seemed I was doing more and more until one of these times, and I was working a full time job. This was in the mid 90s. So I was working a full time job. I was in HR at a big bank, which is very common in Delaware. Um, so yeah, I was doing the banking thing, working in HR, and I was in these weddings, and Martha Stewart was all the rage, and there weren't like all these kits like there are now, like the DIY invitations and the DIY everything, and there really was almost no internet. There wasn't like, if there was a website, it was because you were like on the knot and it was a page. It wasn't like, only really big companies had websites, so there wasn't any groups or tutorials or anything like there is now. And so if you kind of had a knowledge of this stuff, or you were just good at figuring it out, you became like the person to have in somebody's wedding, because it was like, oh, Colleen could do that.
You've done this how many times before? You can do it again.
Exactly.
You know how to do it
Like,
by now.
yeah, I mean, you get this kind of paper and that kind of paper, and you punch holes and you tie a ribbon, and now we have a beautiful invitation. Whereas now you can just purchase it like that. Well, it's kind of the same thing with flowers. I kind of stumbled into it. So after those couple years and doing showers and parties and things like that, one of my sister's best friends actually said, "You do beautiful flowers. I want you to do my wedding." And I was like, are you feeling okay? Did you start recently
Isn't that
smoking
like a
crack? Like,
heart-stopping
what
moment?
what is going on here? Like, why are you asking me to do your wedding? She's having this beautiful big wedding. Her parents are corporate lawyers. They could afford to hire anyone, and they want me to do their flowers. Like, what? So, she was like, "I believe in you, and this is what I really want for my wedding." And I was like, okay. So I did it, and I didn't have any like cooler or storage space. I actually turned my sunroom into a cooler and like did all these crazy things, and it turned out beautifully. From that wedding, because we worked at a bank, of the median age was, 25 to 28-year olds, all of a sudden pictures got out and things, and there was no Facebook yet, but people just knew each other. And so at that point, I started getting phone calls of, "Will you do my wedding? Will you do my wedding? Will you do my wedding?" And Valentine's Day 1996, specifically on Valentine's Day, I had 5 people call me in my office at the bank saying, "Hey, will you do my wedding flowers?"
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, I think this might be a sign that maybe I should start doing this,
Yeah.
because each one of them had like a $5,000 budget, and I was like making like $30,000 a year at the time. And I'm like, okay, I know the 5,000 isn't just to pay me, it's for the flowers and everything. But if this is just in one day from doing one wedding, maybe I should kind of think about this and look into it. So shortly thereafter, I came up with a company name and started doing things here and there. And then within like a year and a half, by 1997, I started my own company out of my garage.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow, wow, wow. That's awesome.
So yeah, so um, lots of lessons and bumps along the way. It was a booming industry at the time, but at that time there was everything was very kind of cutthroat within the industry. So if you didn't have a big flower shop, you were considered a basement Betty.
Oh,
So
Hmm.
everything was super protected and nobody shared ideas, nobody was supportive with each other. So it was definitely a lot of lessons learned, and it was a lot more difficult back then than it is now.
Mhm.
But I literally probably have enough books to like that are, if I stacked them up, are definitely taller than me, of all like the self-education with a gazillion little tabs and post-its and 1,000 Martha Stewart wedding magazines, because that was one of the only publications back then, going to like every bookstore I could possibly find, because at the time floral design you'd find maybe one or two books.
Mhm.
yeah.
And again, the internet was such a limited resource at that time. I mean, think about 1997. I can ask Liza, like she knows.
Like
Like
the
you had like,
internet was like they had a little like hoppy dude who would like play a little game once in a while, and maybe
yeah,
you'd
and
get an email.
it was not even close to what
No.
it is now. You had AOL, everything
Yep.
was dial up. You know, you heard like what sounded like a fax machine. It was all that. So there was a lot of hard knocks.
Hmm.
Um, in that time frame, but I learned so much just from doing it and digging
Trial and
in, and
error.
that, trial and error. So um let's see, in about 2003 or 4, so I was doing that for a while, and I had built quite a few really good relationship with some banks and some event planners and things like that. And one of the banks, which no longer exists, it was ING Direct. They were like, we desperately need you to be on our staff to run our events and do our things.
Hmm.
And in order to do that, if we need to make you our in-house florist and you can do your stuff and our stuff, that would be great. So around two, I was doing a lot of their events. Around 2005, they finally gave me an offer. I was like, okay, this is too much money. And I was kind of tired of being an island at that point in time. And it was nice to have other people to work with and feel a little bit more supported. So from 2005 to 2008, although I had full book of 2 years worth of weddings,
Mm.
I went and did that as well.
Wow.
So I
Hmm.
did all the events for ING Direct coast to coast.
Oh.
Managed like 5 properties, all their ballrooms, all their stuff, all their events, plus
Mm.
did my weddings. I have no idea in hindsight like how I did it. I don't think I slept for like 2 years, but because I mean they were full weddings and events as well as huge events. So I learned a ton doing that as well.
So
Um,
saying you're an expert is almost an insult because you're beyond an expert.
Well, I've been like every side of the industry. So, um, in 2008, the industry crashed, the banking industry, and so they no longer had money and things for events and stuff like that. So I just went back to simply doing my business. I rebranded at that point in time and really started to work into other things, but I'd made so many contacts. The director of Longwood Gardens reached out to me and was like, we want you to be our first ever operations manager in charge of all of guest services and events.
Oh
And
my
I was like, okay.
god. Wow.
So even though I had my business kind of in the background and I still had bookings, I wasn't booking as heavily. So I was a lot lighter when I did that. And I was really kind of entrenched in the whole events and Longwood Gardens and um, orchestrating all of their events, organizing their guest services. I managed every person in the gardens that had a green jacket. So I was their
Mm.
manager. Plus, I ran the events, oversaw the catering and all that stuff. I was third in charge in the garden. So I was manager on duty all the time, in charge of ice skating, weather calls, blah, 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 blah. So that was
Wow.
a huge job that actually, after 3 years, landed me in the hospital.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So I pushed myself to every possible limit with physically, and my body was just like, nope, no, you're done. You need a break.
Enough is enough. You have a full
So I
stomach.
ended up in the hospital for a week. I hurt my back,
Mm.
lifting things and doing things during Christmas season.
Mm.
So from there, I had to take 3 months off because I had to go through a lot of rehab and things like that. Um, Once I did that, my business was still I was still doing arrangements for banks. I was doing lobby pieces, executive floors, those kind of things, and only like small weddings at that point because it was like what I could squeeze in. Um, so once I kind of did all that, I was like, okay, let's refocus on doing events, weddings, doing my own thing, and really pushed kind of the rebranding that I had already started. And that's when I launched and really was doing all weddings, events, corporate, you name it. At that point, I had so much experience because I was the florist, I was the venue. I had been the bride and the bridesmaid bride once, but bridesmaid like
Yeah.
times during that time frame. So there really wasn't any part I was, the vendor, I was also the caterer, I was this. I wasn't the caterer, but I worked so closely behind the
Yeah.
scenes that I just knew every part of the industry
Yeah.
and was responsible for making sure that the big umbrella of everything and that the logistics and everything ran smoothly. So it was more like kind of baptism by fire and it built over the years. So going back into just flowers was like almost like a vacation.
Yeah.
So at that point, I just really immersed myself into just loving and enjoying and re-educating like of all the new scientific stuff of biology and things that kind of relearning some of the old ways, like, oh, put your flowers in warm water and this and that, and learning that that was just all incorrect, and really kind of studying my craft and perfecting my craft, understanding the biology of the flowers, understanding what made them happy, what made them not, how they progress over a period of time, how to get flowers to that exact perfect bloom, and how to maintain it in that so that it looks like that for the wedding day. If you rush it too fast, then it's blown open and too far. If you don't do it fast enough, it's not the right look for the design. So I really immersed myself in truly like the botany of flowers and just experimenting and doing like a lot of that in addition to floral design and events. Um, in 2015, I was still very busy. Everything was going great, but one of my biggest accounts just closed. And I was doing all of their events. I was their in-house florist. And my one son was off at college. My other one was about to start ninth grade. And I was just like, it gave me pause. And I was like, okay, am I going to really market myself and push this? Or is this a time where I need to kind of pause and go, okay, is this a next phase?
You were at a fork in the road. You had a moment.
Exactly.
You
And
had
I
to
was
make
like,
a decision.
okay,
Yeah.
do I really invest into this or do I look at, where we are in the future? So I decided to start examining, okay, let me freelance a little bit. Barely knew what that was. It was barely a thing at that point in 2015, but was starting to become a thing. There still weren't like any Facebook groups or anything like that, but Facebook did exist at that point for a couple of years. So there was a little bit of interaction, not a ton. Things were like you kind of learned and met people through your wholesaler, like going to pick things up and talking to other people. Um, learning about different things by literally going to the farms like you guys and picking up the flowers and then meeting other, people doing the same job as you
Mhm.
while you're, both picking up your flowers or looking at things or figuring things out. So that was pretty much my education and interaction with other florists and event designers, until that point. So I started, offering part-time help at two different wholesalers. One of them I started helping out with just to kind of see, like, is this the direction I want to go in?
Mhm.
Physically, you can only physically do a job that's this taxing for so long before you start to phase in and phase other people in. And I just wasn't that good at releasing control of the design piece. And, you
It's
know,
hard.
it's
It's so
really
hard.
hard.
You spend so much time creating a brand, an image, a look, and
Mhm.
creating the relationships. And if other people don't understand it, or if they're not speaking the same language, how do you turn that over?
Yeah.
How do you say? And that's why we, as the team that we have, we're so blessed because we all speak the same language. And if we're cranky with each other, it's okay because we can be like, listen, I'm really frustrated about X, Y, and Z. And everybody's like, okay, well, how do we help each other with it?
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
mm,
And I find that, I mean, once I started freelancing in like 2017, um, and then I started working with other people, I realized there were so many things, like so many lessons in what people do and what people don't do,
Mhm.
just from being in different environments, that I learned so much. Some best practices from doing the opposite of what some of the things that I saw. Different things that you're like, whoa. But nonetheless, there was more of a community than there ever was. And I always said that if that community that I became a part of had emerged probably 5 years prior, I'd probably still be in that part of the industry.
Mhm.
I still, because you weren't such an island anymore,
yes,
figuring it all out on your own and just kind of being, you know, the resource for everything.
yeah.
So the long and short of that story is, you know, there's, there's every possible way that you can be involved in the event industry, in the wedding industry, in the floral industry. And there's so many different avenues to get into it. And so, I mean, as far as somebody like wanting to get into the floral industry, I would say um, the smartest way to go about it is educate yourself or take, I would say, certain classes. I don't
Mhm.
think that all classes that are out there are really
Great.
the most beneficial. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a
Right.
nice way of saying it. Like,
Right.
there are a lot of people out there saying that they can teach things, and they're really truly not the experts. They truly, they just are good at making things look pretty. Um,
But what are the
but,
mechanics behind it and how does it work? And that's one of the things I definitely wanted to ask you today was, if you saw somebody who was getting into the industry, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give them?
freelance, work at different places. When you're starting out, when you have the opportunity, work at a flower shop, work with different designers,
Hmm.
offer to work as cheap as possible when you're brand new and you don't have the experience, because it truly is free education.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So at that point, consider, okay, you're not paying a tuition somewhere, but you are. You know what I mean? By
Hmm.
taking lesser pay.
Well,
I'm
and
not
that's
saying
one of
don't
the
get paid
things.
at all. Some people will offer free labor. Um, I highly suggest, as little as you can afford to accept, only because I feel like even if you're just hands and feet and lifting things and moving things around,
Mhm.
there is value in what you're bringing to the table. So you should get paid for something, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
when things are not so crazy, those people will allow you to come in and you can just pick up different notes of things, watch the way different things do that, ask a question why. Of course,
Mhm.
not on like in the middle of an install unless they have the time, but when things get hectic, but definitely work in all the different environments
But
because
if you go with them and you're driving back after the install and you're in the vehicle with them, that's a great time to be able to
that's
pick
a
your brain.
perfect time.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Also, too, like if you work for someone and you're doing an event with them, ideally there'll be an operations kind of meeting prior to. You're going to go with there, you're going to go here, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. These are the pieces that go here, these are the pieces that go there. You know, you can ask a couple questions then just so that you're mentally prepared for what direction you're going.
Hmm.
I think that's really important. Okay, as you get more experience, you're the lead or you're the this or what is your, because I mean, I have to ask those questions even if I'm going, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm freelancing now, I'm either running an event or they need me to do some large installs that they know that they can send me on my own and they'll just turn around and it's ta-da, it's done.
Hmm.
And I always have to ask the question, okay, um, what is pre-done, what isn't pre-done, like for mentally for me to understand like what I'm going into. Will I have an assistant? Will I not?
Right.
Um, and that way too, I always bring quite a few tools with me, but you
What's your
bring a little
favorite
bit
tool?
extra.
What's your favorite tool?
My knife.
Ooh, are you a clipper person or are you a
No.
knife?
I was trained out of the clipper. One of my good flower friends challenged me. She was like, to be a really good florist, she was like, you should not use cutters. She
Mm.
was like, a true professional only uses a knife. And the reason why is there's speed, there's
Mhm.
consistency, there's a lot of things. And every time you put down those clippers, so there's certain florists in the industry that are like well known that if they hear a pair of cutters get put down on the table, they're like, who was that?
Oh, wow.
During design time, not prep time, like if you're hacking like a bunch of something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
during design time. Um, because it's inefficient. Not only is it inefficient, but it also there's bacteria and things that build up on those things that don't on your knife. Um, there's just so much more control and the practice that you get when you're doing the knife really allows you to be so much more precise
Mhm.
than when you work with cutters.
Yeah.
So absolutely, like I mean, I can do everything with a knife. There's nothing I can't do with a knife. Sometimes when things are bigger, like big honkin' stems, but if you have a sharp knife, it
It'll
doesn't
go
matter.
through it. Yeah.
You can go right through it and you can hack through it and you're good to go.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so by far my favorite tool is my knife. I could do an entire event with just a knife and some wire. Actually, one of the people that I like bind wire, one of the people that I freelance for, they used to call me, this might not resonate with the younger girls, but like they call me MacGyver because they're like, give
I get
Colleen a
that.
pocket knife, some bind wire, like a clip, and like some glue, and she'll make you an arbor, and it's like I've been sent to events where I've had like one bunch of greens and had to green full like, you know, um, banisters and full things. And I'm like, okay, where are the nearest woods? Because I
Yeah.
literally went in there and like hacked down like a forest and brought it with me and made it happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
I
just
think
learn,
that's one of the things that people don't realize is how flexible you have to be
Yeah.
when it
yes,
comes to events. I feel like there's two distinct worlds of florals. There's the little flower shop where you walk in and has the tinkly little bell and the cooler and the flowers and they're all tight and they're all in their cute little buckets and oh, you need an arrangement, great, we'll put it together. And then there's the actual floral install world where I don't want it tight. I want it ready to go at a certain point. And and we want it big and full and fun and
Wild.
yeah,
And
it's a
that truly
totally
is the difference between a retail florist and an event florist.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, so I work in wholesale. That's the one thing I didn't get to in
yeah,
my
sorry.
kind of bio thing. So I went into wholesale. I was working part-time at one place. They shut down, and somebody that I worked with went to DV Flora,
Hmm.
and they were like, you need to come work here. They need you. And they were like, they don't need you yet, but I'm going to tell them how much they need you. And then the event manager called me and was like, I heard that I needed to meet you. And I was like, oh, okay. Hello. And we talked for about an hour and she was like, oh, I need to hire you. And I was like, okay. She's like, but we don't have a position right now, but I'm going to make one. She
Mm.
was like, hold tight. Like within 3 days, I got a call back saying, hey, I need you to come to DV to meet with a bunch of different people because I created a position and we're going to have an event team. We're really focusing on events and I really want you to be part of this team. And so I've been with DV since 2018
Hmm.
um, as one of 5 event specialists. There's only 4 of us now, but there used to be 5.
Well, it's
So
interesting when we walked through with you, we got to walk through the office. You are regarded different when you walk past. People watch you. It's interesting.
Mhm.
really,
Very, very interesting in the
I
office.
don't
People kind
notice.
of like, like it
Well,
was
so
very
I'm kind
interesting.
of always getting into things that other people don't get into.
Hmm.
So I'm curious by nature and I just like to see how things work. And I also work for a company that has been structured a very specific way for a very long period of time. And it's a very big ship and it turns very, very slowly. So, that being said, I've had to create quite a few workarounds, which are now standard operating procedures, but was me working around the system that I needed to work in. So,
Mhm.
Hmm.
um, you know, creating a lot of opportunities for myself because I didn't want to tell the people who were my customers and the people that I may be even freelancing for next weekend, like, I want to play with those flowers. I want to do that. How can we get that in here? How can we make that work? So I was working with, I figured out kind of the avenues of whose ear to whisper in to get it to go in the right direction. A lot of kind of making things happen and then going ta-da. And if they hated it, it was like, oh, sorry, I won't do that again. But if they loved it, like, oh, how can we make this a process?
Mhm.
So just
Mhm.
being kind of a serial entrepreneur, the type of person who really has been super flexible in every career, has always had to shoot from the hip, has always had to kind of make things work. Um, Going into an environment that's very structured like that, you kind of shake things up.
Mhm.
So that's why people are always like, okay, what is she doing now?
What is she
And
into? What do we get to do?
Mhm.
yeah. And so, you know, I think that in wholesale, what a lot of event people don't realize is that, like you said, there's 2 types of florists, and most, not Mayesh, but most other wholesalers that are large are catering to that either big box store, like
Mhm.
a Costco or a grocery store, or to a retail florist where they need those flowers to last 10 to 14 days in their cooler or they're losing their shirts.
Mhm.
Now,
It's interesting that you say big box because I feel like over the past 10 years, even, if you go to the Philadelphia Flower Show and you walk around and everything's beautiful, and then you start to walk through the shop area, the Acme display is huge.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's been a huge shift in the floral industry as to what's expected. It's not this like forgotten little, hey, here's 3 tubs and we're going to throw a couple things in and 2 of them are half dead, but people buy it anyway. To now it is a floral shop embedded in many of the grocery stores,
Mhm.
only the
Well, the
concept.
evolution of the flower shop. So as things, evolved, I said before, if you didn't have a flower shop, you were a basement Betty. I never ever wanted a flower shop. I only wanted to do events. I never wanted to buy flowers every week just to throw some away or do whatever. I wanted to truly curate bespoke, beautiful things for people, for homes, for venues, for weddings, for events, or even just for every day. But
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, I was never kind of that sort of 1-800 FTD kind of florist.
Mm-mm.
I
Those
always,
phone calls make me crazy.
Mhm.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I've come to love every type of flower in every style for its place.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, you know, everything does have its place. And I feel that like there was a period of time, I am a flower snob. I will openly admit that.
I think we all
But
So are
are.
we.
but in a different way now, because there was a time where certain flowers I was like, oh, those are yucky funeral flowers, or those are this, or those are that. um Now I've come to such a deep understanding of all the different flowers and how to truly create something different with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you
Not
can
the
use
standard
a
happy face mug of like, here's your carnations and baby's breath,
Mhm.
but different ways to still use those florals. I mean, I think certain flowers are used very commonly because they hold up. You've got a carnation, you've got a rose, you've got baby's breath. They're standard because they hold up, because they can go through the different channels that it takes to get them from their starting point all the way to the end. So
right.
I feel like when people understand the difference, that's where you can change some of the
The
use.
good news, though, is that when you truly understand and learn kind of the botany side and the horticulture side of florals, any flower can last.
Mm-hmm.
Very few. I mean, I've worked with plumeria that I've had sent from Maui.
That's my
I
favorite.
Is it? So I used to have, there was a plumeria farm that I worked directly
Ooh.
with, and they would ship them in. I was like the only person on the East Coast that worked with them. They taught me exactly how to work with them, what to do with them, and how to make them, you know, because they have a shelf life of 48 hours. It takes 48 hours for them to get to you from Hawaii, essentially. So you buy double and you get to use about half, and it
Oh
gets sent
wow.
to you in this big huge like styrofoam container, and there's dry ice, and there's but not on it.
Dry ice.
It's a whole process because they can't be too cold, but they can't be too warm, but they can't be this and that. So yeah, there's a whole process behind it, and they're amazing and they're wonderful. And the more, if for me it was like if somebody said, well, I was told that I can't have these, immediately I was like, I must have those. Like,
Yeah.
it was
Oh
always like
yeah.
a challenge. It was like, okay, if somebody says you can't have it, that means, okay, it's going to be difficult, but why? Yeah, I'm like the eternal 3 or 4 year old where I'm like, but why? But how come? But why? So,
Yeah. How can I fix it?
I want to know how to make it work. And even if it's only for the bride's bouquet or a couple special things, I want to make that happen for them,
Yeah.
because flowers really are like a language and an expression
Mhm.
of somebody's thoughts, feelings, um, emotions, those kind of things. And so, if somebody's favorite flower is plumeria, they should have that on their wedding day. They
Is it
should
not
have.
time for the child who's getting married in June?
It is possible. And actually, there are now farms in Florida where you can get it. So it's not that difficult. I will tell
I
you guys,
would cry. Oh my god.
this is the thing, like wholesalers do not sell them because there's a high risk,
Yeah,
right?
people don't
But
know
I
that.
can tell you, and like for my customers that I have, um, I consider myself a resource, not just like I don't just take orders and go, okay, I can give you this. This is what we have. Like DV has such a huge reach. I go, okay, let me call out to the buyers. Let me see what farms are selling this. If you see something that you like, I'm like, okay, where did you see that? Where are you getting it? So I can kind of dig deeper and go, okay, we should be able to get this and figure out a way to do it. And I'd say 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty successful, but it's because I'm pretty tenacious and I just don't stop.
You don't give up.
But it's
No, I
also your
don't.
connections.
Mhm.
You have so many connections that you've built over time. If
Yeah,
somebody
I mean,
doesn't
I've been doing
know,
this since 1997, so
yeah.
my pockets of resources are pretty deep. They go pretty far back, and I'm always every day still learning something new and different.
So
And if it's something that's like old that's coming back that like I've seen it but I'm not quite sure like how to do something, I have friends and it doesn't matter how many times you've done different things. It's being open to thinking of it differently. If I hear one more time about well, I've been putting them in warm water for 30 years and it's always been fine. Well, can you for 5 minutes like kind of open your mind for just a minute and test both? See, because that's what I did. Like when I worked at a previous wholesaler, like I heard you should smash the stems of stock because that will help them stay hydrated. I heard from somewhere else, like horticulturally, all you do when you smash them is it's just like a vein. You just smash the vascular
yeah.
system and it doesn't help anything. If anything, the plant is trying to heal. Now, that was the old saying with branches too, you smash the ends. Now, I will say, and I don't know why, and I don't know the scientific reason, but I've tested it multiple times. And if you smash the bottoms of stock, it does uptake water better. And the bottom florets that have a tendency on the darker ones, the lighter ones, to go fast, stay hydrated longer.
Okay, so we're going to.
Hey guys, Lizzie here. I bet you didn't know this about me, but I am gluten free, and one of the things that I struggle with is going to the grocery store and finding the foods that fit my dietary needs. What I have been doing for the past couple of months is ordering from Hungry Root. Now, Hungry Root is an online company where you can order groceries off of their website. It's full of produce, crackers, cookies, to muffins, to meats, and all the different types of snacks and things like that. They have made my life so much easier in the process of finding foods that fit my dietary needs. There are filters that you can adjust, such as non GMO, dairy free, gluten free, paleo, different preferences, and things like that. So, what they have done for us, because they're such a generous company, the Hungry Root team has given us a 40% off discount code on your first box. So, if you use the code FLOWER40, and that's capital FLOWER 40 at checkout, you will get 40% off your first box. I'm so excited to team up with these guys. They've made such an impact on my life in the morning and to my day to day life. And I hope you experience the exact same thing that I do. All of the information will be linked down below, including the link to where it should already be pre applied to your cart when you hit the link and go to their website. And I will also add the code at the bottom for easy access in our show notes. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and enjoy your first box through Hungry Root.
Taking stock, smashing it, and putting
Exactly.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
want you to.
Yeah.
Like I do. I want you to because I mean these are the kind of things that I did. Like what works, what doesn't work, right? So and you can have a couple of this and a couple of that and just buy an extra bunch just to see what it does. It's like the peach specifically, like you know how the peach ones, the bottom ones always kind of shrivel
Fire.
up really fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it works.
We're gonna start smashing some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying smash them to bits. I'm just saying the very bottom side of a hammer or something, and it works wonders.
Huh.
So, healthy debates and these kind of things, like within your studio, like creating your own kind of lab, is super important to keep things fresh, to keep things new, like to keep you learning because you learn different things all the time. And I will say too, flowers have changed so much in the last 6 years in how they get to us, how they're stored, what's happening with them. So processing them and having beautiful flowers at the end of the week or for the event or whatever the case may be, it's a totally different process now. You used to be able to, they would get cut at the farm in Ecuador, they would get right on a plane, they would fly to Miami, they'd come straight up to us. We would have the staff and the wherewithal to put them in water and have them, hydrated or partially hydrated, quite a bit of the product. Now it's they get cut at the farm. They may or may not have the staffing to get them to the hub, to the airport. They may or may not stay in a cooler at the airport for an additional 24 to 48 hours. Then they go onto a plane. Then they go into the cooler again. And then they may leave right away, but they may not. So you're adding, even just in that initial process, 48 hours. That's 2 days of airlocked product. Yes, it's in 34-degree coolers. Yes, it's still being maintained as well as possible, but it's going to take them, they're going to go to sleep. Their respiration is going to decrease. It's kind of like them being in a little bit of a coma.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of breathe life back into them. So people that have been doing flowers forever, that now it's like, I can't just cut them, hydrate them for an hour, and then design with them an hour later, are really frustrated because they're like, these flowers are just dead. They're not. Give them a minute. Give them a minute to hydrate, and revive. So, like, as the industry changes, as the logistics change, as the world changes, we really need to constantly educate ourselves into what is the right processes or the best processes for how we can get them to that most big, beautiful, fluffy stage.
Do you
And
think the changes that you see are from, is it what do you think it's from? What do you I mean, is it different regulations for things out of country coming in? Is it
so labor has been a huge challenge outside of the country and inside the country. um I'm sure everybody's heard people don't want to work.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find good freelancers. It's hard to find people that want to work in a shop. It's hard to find people to work, period. Right? Everybody wants to like make money easy and fast. And this job is hard work.
It is.
You're
There's
either
so many
lugging
people
buckets,
don't get it.
flowers, things, chopping, bending, pulling, lifting. It's a very physical job, and sometimes in very hot conditions and sometimes in very cold conditions. And so that within itself, since COVID, has been a huge challenge. The other challenge has been literally flights, like when everything with COVID. So a lot of the flowers traveled in the bellies of passenger flights. Well, when there were no passenger flights, there were no bellies moving of the crafts. So it was taking longer to get there. The prices skyrocketed because you weren't splitting the prices with the airfare of the customers. So all of these things, prices increase, people can't buy as much. So it's a chain reaction really of of the world changing and how things work. And fair wages and all those kind of things. I mean, people before were working for nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad in so many ways that, people are getting a living wage or at least close to one now in these other countries that we're getting nickels a day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a way, I'm glad that it happened. Does it make it more expensive and a little bit more challenging for us? Yes, but if it makes the world a better place, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I mean, it's really just it's the labor force or the lack of, and then the expense that has tripled or quadrupled in making that happen. So, okay, so it's 4 times more expensive. So maybe they can't hire as many people because they'll go out of business. So it takes a little bit longer for these things to happen. So there's a million reasons, you know what I mean, like why they've changed. But at the end of the day, what you said in the very beginning is the key to being successful in this industry, and it's being flexible. when you have events, say the following flowers, inspire this look. Some of these flowers, some of this look may include, some flowers in this design may include blah, 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 and put all their favorite things in and the inspo pick flowers. But as long as you're selling a look, a feel, a design versus a flower, you will put yourself in a much better position. There are a lot
That's
of
why we
people
have a
that
lot
have,
of people out to the farm and we have them walk through because I feel like the other side is people don't know all of the other things that there are. People know roses, they know baby's breath, they know sunflowers, but when you start talking about Tweedia or you start talking about,
A lot of them know dahlias. I am happy
yeah,
about that.
yeah,
Thanks to Instagram.
and they know peonies. But when you start
but
talking about
people
some,
don't know what they don't know.
no,
Yeah.
And so ultimately the key to being successful with events and clients and even just in a retail shop is really being the expert and then having them trust you as the expert.
yeah.
When you talk to them about what emotions do you want people to feel when they come to your event? How do
Mhm.
you want it to feel? What do you want it to look like? What kind of environment do you want to have? Because really all of this comes down to an emotion, right?
Yeah.
All of this is about how they make you feel and what type of an environment that it promotes.
Mhm.
And so if you are able to provide that environment, it really shouldn't matter what flowers you use as long as it has that, somebody wants something to be gardeny and ethereal. Somebody wants it to be, some people like it very English garden and compact. Some people want it more European and,
Mhm.
what's more in style right now. And,
Mhm.
I see other styles like the compact is even coming back, where it's tighter bouquets and different things.
And
And
smaller. We have a lot of petite this upcoming season.
Mhm.
all the little bottles are coming back,
Mhm.
like tablescapes, different things where it's somewhat minimalist, but it's like a million of them, so it's really not minimalist.
I
it's
know.
a little it's a little counter intuitive there, but you get the idea. But I think flexibility and understanding that going into this industry that it's fluid.
Mhm.
Everything is fluid. It's trends, and you can see floral trends in so many other things. Like I knew when tropicals were coming back in full. You know why? Because I saw monstera leaves on dresses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other industries influence ours. So, I mean, 5 years ago, did people really know what monstera leaves were? No. Now, I don't know anybody that doesn't have one in their house or doesn't know what it is. Or they
Mhm.
say, the big leaf with the cutouts, like it's just,
Mhm.
they know what it is. It's recognizable. But 5 years ago, people didn't know what that was.
No, they had no clue.
Mhm.
So, other industries definitely influence ours. And so you can see the trends like right now, the 80s and 90s are big. So guess what? 80s and 90s flowers are coming back, baby. Like it's just the way it is. So, you better learn how to do that cascade. You
Mhm.
better learn how to wire flowers,
Mhm.
and all old things become new. They'll have a slightly different twist, things like that. So it's truly just kind of opening yourself up to
Learning.
everything is beautiful and everything can be beautiful. You just have to really kind of let it be what it is in the style that they want it to go. And just
Mhm.
kind of really listening to the client, whoever that is. And again, going back to the emotion of it.
Mhm.
What are you trying to create? What kind of mood are you trying to create? What kind of feelings do you want to evoke when you give this to a person? Is it you want to remind them of someone or remind them of a time, a place, and you want to recreate that? There's so many things, but ultimately everyone is driven by emotion. And
Mhm.
so if you strike that chord with them that they feel it, they smell it, they see it, it doesn't matter what flower you used as long as they feel that same feeling, you're going to be fine. So basically getting your client or your customer to trust you that you're the expert and that you can create recreate that feeling for them is
100%.
ultimately at the end of the day what your goal is. And a lot of people don't realize it's not so much about the flowers, the exact
Mhm.
flower. It's what they feel when they see it.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
the
it's
whole thing all together.
Mhm.
yeah.
100%. 100%. Awesome. 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 Awesome.
This
I
was
know
awesome.
I'm kind of rambling, so I apologize.
You're not rambling at
No,
all.
we
You're not rambling
have
in the least.
learned and listened, and it's just been amazing. I love hearing
Yeah.
you talk.
You're so
I have a
sweet.
feeling you'll be back very
Uh-huh.
soon.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to pick different topics, I know at DV we're gonna be focusing on education a little bit more in 2024, and I'm gonna be doing some reels and some things
Awesome.
for the Instagram feed for DV and stuff like that too. So
Sweet.
instructional things, mechanical things, but also just general education.
Oh
Yeah.
my
You
God.
know,
Mhm.
It took me 20 minutes yesterday. We bought vases that go on wedding tables. You know, the very big glass.
trumpet vases.
Right. You said trumpet vases. I typed in and looked fluted vases, tall vases, large vases. Like I didn't put the trumpet in there. I knew all of the names of the stands. I
You
could
should
get
have just
all the
sent me
rest.
an email. What are these called? I would have
I was
told you.
so frustrated. So I
This is
finally
what your
called.
salesperson is for. Send me a
Oh
picture and go,
my
what
gosh.
is this? That is
I was
also
like,
what I'm here
trumpet
for.
really?
Yes,
How
yes.
many times do I call you and I'm like, Coleen, you gotta help me figure this out. I need to figure these things out. What do I do with this? And how do I do that? And your advice, your connection, you have been such a resource for us. I
Mhm.
can't tell you how many times Lizzie will be like, Mom, we need to figure this out. And I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out. And then I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
call Colleen.
Well, and the thing is, I feel like another reason why I love working at DV and in wholesale is because, look, I learned all this stuff the really hard way.
Yeah.
And if I can impart any of that wisdom onto anybody else, I am psyched to share it.
Yeah.
Because I got all the bumps and the bruises. I got all the like the war scars and all that
Like
stuff.
literally
So
in the
I'm like,
hospital.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like I want to share it so that way you don't have to do it the hard way.
Yeah.
Like gladly. And my way may not be the way that somebody else does it.
Mm-mm.
But there are so many things that, simple, easy things like, I've given advice to people when I freelance or I'm talking to a customer and they're like, yeah, I've got this venue and I've got to fill up all these trumpet vases with water. And I'm like, okay, the best thing I can ever tell you to do when you have trumpet vases and you need to fill them with water, you need to get a gallon, 2 gallons of water. They're 63 cents at Walmart. Figure out how many of those gallons go in. And then you buy them and take them with you
Instead
and
of
put
trying
one
to
at
get to the
every
kitchen.
table.
Yeah.
Because do you know how many years I spent running with pitchers from kitchen to table to kitchen to table for hours when I
Yeah.
could have spent 63 cents for a gallon of water and been done in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's clear.
Mhm.
Because sometimes some of that kitchen water, ooh, you gotta let it run.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, not so much. Let's just hope, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
little
You're like,
cloudy
woo.
or whatever. Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
oh my God.
So, like so many things where it's just best practices or like that is genius. Why did I not think of that? You know what I mean? Like, why
And
did
it's
I
the
do
little
that
things.
300 times before I figured it out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because the one venue that the one time that said, we don't give our people access to the kitchen. So I went and bought the water and I'm like, why have I not been doing this in years? Like, I just paid somebody, literally brought somebody on site and paid them just to fill up things
Yeah.
for
Oh,
hours.
yeah.
Like,
100%.
nuts.
We have been at venues filling the candle trios for the floating candles where the water, we didn't have access to it. So we had to go around the back and we were filling at like a hose bib that was probably 2 or 3 inches from the ground. So, I mean, we were like.
And it was raining and we were drenched by the end of it.
Yeah, trust me, I've been there. Yeah, for sure.
So I would love to challenge you to come back with like maybe we just have a night where we talk about the craziest things that have happened. That I would love to
Mhm.
like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can, off the top of my head, I will say the
Oh,
one thing
betcha.
is, so for a while when, things were really like, I was doing all kinds of really cool venues and doing like a library theme where I was like making like an open book and arrangement and things like that and stacks of books, like, and they would provide me with like vessels and things like that. And I was told that these mercury glass vessels were waterproof.
Mm.
I made all of the arrangements in them. They were not waterproof, and the silver lifted from the sides. So the arrangements were all done. Everything was in the cooler. I went to go the next morning and I was like,
Oh my
because
gosh.
wherever the water line was, from the water line down, was no silver.
Oh
Oh,
my
man.
God.
Oh my
It
god.
lifted off because it was like foil on the inside,
Oh.
because the customer purchased them at like Marshall's or something and they were intended for candles.
yeah.
Oh.
And they had removed every sticker from everything that says do not use with water. So,
Oh.
that was redesigning an entire wedding
On the
at
fly.
Grace Winery, which is a beautiful venue where I was doing everything everywhere. I was holding arrangements up, dumping the water out, and like blow drying the insides to try to get the
Oh
foil
my
to stick
goodness.
back to them. Like, I mean, insanity.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like
And
god.
again,
at 6
flexibility.
a.m. the morning of a wedding, when I think I'm just like gonna check on it and then come back at like 11 to load up. But I'm like, let me
Yeah.
just check a couple things, do a
Yep.
couple things, go back, woo. Yeah, like
Oh my
just a
god.
million things like that were like, oh my gosh. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if I covered what you wanted to cover.
Yes.
Oh
You
my
did.
gosh, it
You
was
did.
perfect. It was
Yes.
perfect. We'll have a list of questions the next time we call you.
I don't know. Anytime, like, I mean, I'm happy to do it. People get sick of hearing me, but I'm
No,
happy to do
Never.
it.
not at all.
Never.
So my question for you, last one, is if you were a flower, what would you be?
So I was thinking about this because you told me you were going to ask me this.
I know.
So I go back and forth between two.
Interesting.
So I love so many flowers for so many different reasons. It's kind of like somebody's like, if you got married again, what would your flowers look like? I'm like, I don't know how I would pick because there's
Yeah.
so many different looks. I'm like, I would need to do a different look in every room or something. Like, I don't know because I love so many. But I want to say, tried and true, there are two flowers. So I love fat flowers, is what I call them.
Mhm.
Like anything that is like as big as your face
Mm-hmm.
and like just super fragrant. I just love big, fluffy, fat flowers. So for that reason, garden roses have always been one of my favorites. And actually, when David Austin started selling cut flowers, I was one of their, on the East Coast, I was one of 3 people who were certified to sell their flowers. And they only sold them from Texas to certified David Austin dealers.
Wow.
And they didn't sell them at wholesalers yet. So I used to order them from a salesperson at David Austin, and they would come into Philly at Southwest Airlines. I would pick them up, take them, and do all this stuff. So tried and true, garden roses, every type, spray garden, all different types of garden. I just love, love, love them. They're just so intricate, so beautiful, and I think they're really, truly timeless.
Mm-hmm.
And dahlias.
Mhm.
When I worked at Longwood, I was in charge of all the flower shows. And the National Dahlia Show at, oh wait, you know what? I have a bag right here. What year was that? The Greater Philadelphia National Dahlia Society
Wow.
had their flower show in Philly one of the years that I was doing it. And the dahlias that I saw that were like unbelievable, and they're so intricate and beautiful, and the shades and the tones, it's like makes you like
And they're
believe
tipped.
in
like the colors are tipped and they're just
It's just magical. They're
Yeah.
truly magical, and the beauty is like, okay, how does this even naturally exist? Like, are you kidding me? Like, there's definitely a higher power somewhere creating this stuff, because this
Yeah.
doesn't happen by
yeah.
accident, right?
Yeah.
How can it not
So,
Yeah.
but like I'll say, sometimes chamomile or a daisy is my favorite flower,
Yeah.
like, or Cosmo, because they're so simple and delicate and beautiful. But
Yeah.
I think truly a favorite flower is going to be those two.
Yeah.
Probably a garden rose, just because it's,
Classic.
yeah. And there are some that have 1 or 2 petals. There are some that have 1,000 petals, but they always smell just amazing. And just, it transports you. They really do transport you to another place, and they elevate your mood, and you can't have a bad day when you can, like, I have tuberose here in my office right now, and all day I've been like, and when I took them home from work yesterday, um, one of the head of the buyers, he was like, "Oh, your house is gonna stink," and I was like, "Stink? I love it." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, Oriental lilies, people used to be like, "Oh, they smell like a funeral." Like, I was in an office once, and the CEO came in at 6 a.m., and I like had put these big, they were all called like Casablanca lilies before, but now they're hybrid and they're all different ones. But back in the like late 90s, early 2000s, it pretty much was all Casablancas. They had even a stronger scent than the ones are now. And it was stunning and it was beautiful. And I did blue and white delphinium, and it was just really pretty. And I had bent down because I guess there was some delphinium petals that had fallen, and I was picking them up off the floor. And the CEO walks in. He thinks he's in the office by himself. And he goes, "Holy shit, it smells like a funeral in here."
Oh my
I stood up, and he was like, "Oh, like," and I said, "That's okay. Everybody has their own, you know, feeling about the different scents." I said, "Personally, I think it smells like a spring day in here." And he was like, "You know what?" He goes, "You're right." He was like, "Thank you for reminding me of that." And then one of my friends who actually worked for that company, there was some like big, you know, perception email that was sent out that day about remembering that perception is reality, and that, how you look at things can really change
Oh,
things.
that's
So it was actually, it was kind of, so I mean, it's just amazing, how, but yeah, so I mean, I have 1,000 funny stories like that. Like, no, I'm like in my overalls and I stand up and I'm like, "Hi." He's like,
Like,
oops.
Well, next time we're going to ask you all about your funny stories, all the things you run into, and how you fixed them.
yeah.
But for right now, I'm going to close this with our normal spiel. So, thank you for listening again. Coleen, we majorly appreciate you.
So excited. We were so excited all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
"You guys are so cute." No, I love this. I love talking about flowers, and I feel like way too much of this was about me. So I'm just like
That's
glad
what it
to
was
talk about
about.
other stuff.
That's what it was about.
You can stream our podcast anywhere you find your podcast: Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We can be found on Facebook and Instagram under The Flower Files or under Wildly Native Flower Farm. And you can find us on Patreon with some special episodes there. And you can find us on the website at wildlynativeflowerfarm.com. But we will talk to you next week, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, just dropping a line to tell you about Patreon.
So I asked them, meaning Mom and Amber, what is Patreon anyway? Because I honestly had no idea. So we're going to explain it to you from our perspective so that you understand and so that I understand.
Because the first time I saw it, I was like, Patron? We're drinking tequila? Great. So Patreon is for less than a cup of coffee, those fancy coffees that y'all like, a day, you can sign up to become one of our members.
A little family.
Exactly. And what does that get us?
It gets us some freebies, some special episodes that other people do not get access to. You can interact with us on a special platform where we can ask you questions and interact with you. It's tons of fun.
Mm-hmm. And even on those special episodes, we might be less censored than we are already. And we're going to have a couple fun ones that we can just kind of throw in there and talk about and laugh and go on tangents and have fun. So I hope that you all enjoy it because we're going to have fun along the way. We're crazy, crazy, crazy excited.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Back to the episode now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Gracias.